Hello and welcome once again to the Craft Your Future Today podcast. As usual, I'm your host, Chris Nyalwal, and I'm so excited for another amazing episode where we get to discuss issues of business, issues of money, issues close to the heart, our mindset, all these things that affect how we make decisions regarding our future and whether we actually achieve the things that we set out to do. In today's episode, we're going to be discussing AI. And what a time to be discussing AI. There's so much that is changing simply because of this AI. I remember some time back, if you're an old guard like me, where we used to discuss computer packages. When you finish high school, you'd have something like computer packages, and you would choose between that or French or doing driving school. But now here is AI, where we cannot afford to give it a backseat. We cannot afford to ignore it. It's something that it's in front of our faces and it's affecting us. So for this discussion, I'm excited to have Greg Wanjama, who will be joining us. He is the co-founder of This is Digital AI. He's an AI strategist. He's a full stack software engineer. He'll tell us what that means exactly. Looking forward to know what that means as well. He's an AI trainer. Together with his wife, they are doing an amazing job in this space. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome. Help me welcome Greg.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Chris.
Welcome to the show.
Asante sana. And well done for the show. I followed a few episodes and it's fantastic what you're doing.
Wow. Yeah. Thank you so much. Inviting you is something that I was really looking forward to.
Okay.
Because we've been having so many discussions about AI and how it's impacting our lives.
Yeah.
And I'd really love to just, have a good conversation around it.
Okay.
What are some of the things to look out for? What are some of the things to expect? What are some of the things to be cautious about?
Indeed.
And talk about AI and how do we not get left behind?
Okay.
Yeah, but before we get into that, who is Greg? Tell a bit about yourself, your journey, how you even ended up into AI.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Like you've said, my name is Greg Wanjama. I am. Okay, let's start with the full stack developer, what that means.
Mm-hmm.
So I am a software engineer by training. Mm-hmm. That's what I studied in campus. That's what I've done for the last 23 years.
Mm-hmm.
So full stack simply means I'm able to build systems, not just what you see on the front, but also on the back. So back-end systems are things like databases, APIs, things that connect what you do at the front with whatever happens and processed in the back.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been doing that for a very long time. And as a software engineer, I have, had the privilege of building systems really for everyone. I started off, of course, small, building for small businesses. But along the path of my career, I've built for government, for large institutions, and currently I consult for the United Nations. So I've built it at the highest level. And so the things I have seen and insights that I have gathered over years that have led me to where I am. At a personal level, I am married to Grace Murugi, my co-founder at This is Digital. We have two kids, 2 boys. I am a Christian. I am an avid Arsenal fan. I'm really hoping this is the season. This has to be the season for okay.
There are good chances it will be.
There are just a few more games and then we celebrate. But yeah, I'm also a huge enthusiast of technology in general.
Yeah.
I remember my first interaction with a computer. I was in Form 2. And I was just fascinated at how everything came together, that I could, type something on the keyboard and it appears on screen. And then my very first programming class when I was in campus, I was just fascinated at how I'm able to give instructions to a computer. And it just responds and does it. I've never looked back. It also helps that I'm an introvert, so talking to people wasn't really my strength. But talking to computers, I'm at home, really at home. So how did the journey for AI start? I think it was just a natural progression because in my line of work, yes, we're building systems, we are writing code all the time, we're reviewing other people's code. And then, of course, AI starts to enter the conversation. People start talking about it. Tools start being rolled out. And the very initial tools were actually tools to help developers like myself. So instead of me always starting from scratch when I'm writing a new piece of software, They were like templates. That's why we started. We started off as like snippets of code. You could just drag and drop, add into your system, and then you pick it up. Think of it like instead of having to bake a cake from scratch where you gather all the ingredients, you go and buy a cake mix. They've already mixed things. You're just now coming to assemble and bake. So that's where we started. But now those systems became smarter and smarter. So even as you're typing, it's already preempting what you are about to type next.
Okay.
And so you can move a lot faster. So projects that used to take weeks, even months, started taking shorter and shorter amounts of time. Today I can simply tell my system what I'm trying to build and walk away. And by the time I come back, it's done like 90% of the work. And then I'm simply applying my experience as a systems engineer to just review what it has done, whether it's safe, whether it's real, whether it presents any security problems. And then you're ready to ship. You're ready to go. So that was me applying it now for my work.
Okay.
But with time, ChatGPT came out and now it was widely adopted. So everyone is talking about it and we're like, oh, there's this new AI. And in many cases, that's the only AI people really knew, like 2 years ago, even a year ago. But did you know, Chris, that the first chatbot, like AI-powered chatbot, was actually built in the 60s?
60s?
Yes, in the 60s in IBM labs. And the fact that AI has been slowly developing in the background for like 50 years is something that most people don't know, unless you are in that industry, unless you are in software engineering circles. But it's not something new. So even the systems, we used to call them co-pilots, because they used to help you pilot the ship, code, move faster. But out here now, they became conversational. You can speak to it, you can talk to it, you can even dictate to it and it responds. So many people started to use it now casually. And I think that's usually the adoption even with any new system. But with time, people started to wonder, how do I apply this for my work? It seems to have so much knowledge, so much training. And the opportunities just started to present themselves. So people in my circle started to ask, do you understand this thing, ChatGPT? How are you using it? Because I think people just assume techies, anything related to AI, lazima tujue. We have to know.
You must know. I mean,
we started just having casual conversations very similar to this. And then it spiraled into, can you come and train? Can I come to where you are and spend the day with you and see how you use it? Yeah, and with time, we saw the opportunity. Where like, this is a blue ocean. There's a big need, and Kenyans. What I love about Kenyans is that we have this hunger for adopting new things, and then we make them our own. So even ChatGPT last year, July, we were the highest users of ChatGPT globally, even more than Americans, more than the West, the people who actually built the system.
Yes.
We came along, we saw, oh, this works, and it became ours.
We ran with it.
We just ran with it. So a lot of people were at that point where they're like, how do I use this? How do I apply this? How does it make sense for my situation, my career, my business, my, just my personal applications?
So all this time while you are exploring AI, are you still in employment?
Yes.
Or you?
Yeah, I'm still in employment, but my employment is unique because I'm a consultant. So I do split my time across different clients.
Okay.
But yes, this is as casual as, hi, can we meet for coffee in the evening? And then the coffee discussion becomes an AI discussion. Yeah. And then it spirals into, can I get 2 more hours of your time tomorrow or the day after or over the weekend or something?
Yeah.
Eventually, we're just like, okay, let's just formalize this. Let's register a company. Let's do a big launch. We did a huge launch last year, July 16th, which is...
Looks like you guys have been there for years.
No. It's very new, but the opportunity is huge. So we launched on the 16th of July, which is International Artificial Intelligence Appreciation Day. So we're like, why is no one doing anything locally for that day? So we're like, then we'll be the ones. So we made a big launch, a big splash. We had the media around, dignitaries. And from then on, it's just it's been, moving and growing and, leaps and bounds.
That's really interesting. Something you've, because I would imagine, when most of us just launch businesses, just like, guys, I'm on.
No.
We are done.
Oh, no.
What drove you to launch it and make it that big?
Yes. So that one I will not take any credit for
Yeah.
it. I was in the same mindset.
Yeah.
For like, let's just start. I go register on BRS. I get my documents, I open a bank account, and then I say, I'm open for business.
Open for
business. You're speaking to yourself, essentially. No, but my co-founder, Grace, has been in, first of all, we are this is our third startup. The other two we went that path where we start quietly. And then it takes a very long time to gain momentum. So this time around, she advised, let's do something different. She had seen other businesses start with a big bang. She was like, I think they're onto something. Let's give it a try and see what we have to lose anyway. Yeah, and so we did that. We put a budget together. We rented a venue. We invited dignitaries. We leveraged all our networks, like all the people we know who also know people.
Yeah,
and we brought them into a room and we did our big launch. And from then, the momentum has been incredible. I have to say, we are now training people constantly. Like every week, we are training either a corporate or our own cohorts, because we started training people in cohorts. Yeah, and it's been an amazing journey so far.
That's an amazing trick.
Yes.
A great hack.
Yes.
Because
so if you are starting a business, don't go quiet.
Many of us think of, okay, let me just do this. If it fails, no one will.
Yes. In fact, when you tell people about it, even you don't give yourself the excuse of failing.
Yeah.
Because I think that is actually usually the trap.
Yeah.
Because I started quietly. People don't really know.
Yeah.
So even if I stop,
no one will not know.
So, but when you go big, you go big or you go home. So now every day you wake up, you're like, I have to do this thing. People know I'm doing this thing.
Yes.
So it has to work.
Yeah. I like that. Great mindset shift there.
Yes,
all right. So now you started this. This is digital AI.
Yeah.
And who are your target market for these trainings?
All right.
Yeah.
So our vision, our mission is to empower businesses and individuals with AI skills. And so it's really anyone who fits in that category. Yeah, are you an individual? Yes. So it's really anyone. Because what I have realized with AI is that it's applicable to everyone, regardless of your career, your position in your sector, in your industry. It really does apply to everyone because it has personal applications. And then it has, of course, business applications. So we didn't discriminate. We didn't say, oh, this is going to be only for doctors or creatives or writers or journalists. No, it was, we're just going to empower you with tools. So the hardest part was actually coming up with the curriculum, like figuring out. I was
going to ask about that because now if you're not going to be a bit narrow, that means you have to cover quite a wide spectrum.
Yes, indeed. And so it's actually part of business strategy. So something that we've learned, we are huge, Grace and I are huge followers of the E-Myth, methodology of doing business. So we decided we're going to have something that is attractive to everyone as a first phase. So it's not all we do, but it brings people through the door.
Okay.
So we did our research. We talked widely to our networks. What are the tools you're already familiar with? So we'll start with those. We'll add on a few that we feel are useful for everyone, or at least a very wide cross-section of the population of our target audience. And then we can specialize after that.
Okay.
So think about it, even the way universities work. First year, it's mostly general units. You are learning everything. But by the time you get into second year and third year, that's when you start to specialize. So it's the same approach. So we found 15 tools that tend to apply to everyone. And then we have additional courses that we are working on that now will help you to specialize. So if you are in healthcare, there are tools that are specifically built for healthcare professionals. If you are a creative, an artist, a musician, we segue into those different specializations.
I like that. So basically, you're dealing with people in business, you're dealing with people in employment, you're dealing with people who just need to know about this.
Indeed.
So maybe we start with the people in employment. Maybe what are some of the AI tools that you think people in employment really need to know? Maybe some advice on that.
Yeah, so first of all, let's just start with ChatGPT,
Yeah.
because that's what people already know. So OpenAI came out and released their large language model, and we just call them LLMs. And it gained wide adoption. However, the usage patterns is something that's peculiar. So instead of people using it, as a personal assistant, to help you be more efficient with your work and help you with research and things like that, people are just using it like a friend or like a search engine,
Okay.
or like a therapist. So, and there's nothing wrong with those applications. It's just that it surprised those of us in the industry. You're like, that's the application. So for us, it goes back. There's like a video I've seen on the internet where someone designs, those games for it's like a puzzle piece for children. It's a jar, a container, and then at the top it has a lid, but that lid has different shapes, different shaped holes, and then you give someone different shaped pieces to try and fit them.
Yeah.
So there's a star, there's a rectangle, a square, a circle, and you imagine that people will take the star and put it through the star-shaped hole. Take a circle, put it in the circular hole, and a square through and so on. But no, people will just put them in any hole as long as it enters.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's the same thing with ChatGPT. People found other ways of applying it. So instead of bashing people or trying to, get them to stop using it the incorrect way here, quote unquote, we're like, well, then we'll come to where you are.
Okay.
So let's see how you're using it and then improve it.
Okay.
At least improve your use case at a personal level. So ChatGPT, beyond just answering your questions, over time has really become like a powerhouse agentic type of LLM. Because it can do beyond just answering your questions, like using it like a search engine. It can also answer very deep research questions. It can help you with engineering and math. It can help you create presentations and slides. And they've been adding features as we have progressed. And so our job really at This Is Digital is to keep you informed on what is possible. Because we always say you've been handed a Range Rover, but you're driving it like it's a bicycle or a tricycle.
Yeah.
You're barely using all the features that this tool is capable of. And of course, the free version is the one that most people have. But when you just upgrade to like the lowest tier paid version, you unlock so much more. And so even all our trainings, we conduct them with like the highest tier so that you see what's possible.
Exactly, yes.
And then it really unlocks your creativity. And Kenyans really, like I said earlier, once we see something that's useful, we just run with it. We lock in and we take it like it's ours.
Okay.
Yeah. So for us, that has been the resounding driver of our success, where we're coming to where you are, your use case already.
Okay.
And then we're showing you what else you can do. And it really takes off.
As we were discussing offline, I mentioned that, I had the opportunity of doing some trainings last year. At Craft Your Future, we do trainings for corporates as well. And one of the training was one for a company that was downsizing, actually. And AI was the reason of their downsizing. And they were letting go of people, the low-level analysts kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I guess those are the people who do the research work as much as possible.
Yeah.
So now, somebody who's watching this, who's in employment, I'm like, what are some of the basic things they need to know how to do, at least, to incorporate AI into their work, so that they don't get caught out, something like that. Yeah.
Let me talk about the loss of jobs a little bit. Now, as much as we are talking about the exciting things about AI, there are some unfortunate downsides. And this happens not just because this is AI, it happens with any technological advancement. When you mechanize and you systemize any system, inevitably, those things that used to be done manually or handled by humans start to go away. And it's not meant to remove the human from from the institution entirely. It is actually meant to release them so that they can focus on other more strategic, more important things that even add more value.
Yeah.
And that's the way I think employers need to look at it. Now, that said, there is also a trend right now where layoffs are all blamed on AI. And especially at a global stage when we're talking about big tech companies. But when you really investigate the reality of why these layoffs are happening, is because during the COVID years, people overhired. They their operating costs were lower, so people were no longer going to offices. There were no more commutes. There were no flights. So people were operating from their homes. All you needed to do your job was just a good connection for the internet and, of course, space in your house. And so there was budget to hire people. But now the world has gone back to normal. People have returned to offices more or less. There are overheads, that the organizations have to handle, and now they're like, okay, we need to downsize again. But of course, now AI has become the convenient scapegoat. Okay, in some cases, not all the cases.
Not all.
Yeah, but in the cases where people are genuinely losing jobs because of AI, it's because the AI is now doing their job faster and more efficiently. So what can I do as an employee? It is to figure out, how do I harness this same AI so that I am more useful to the organization, so that my output is higher, the quality of my work is superior, so that I'm not just operating at the base level anymore. I'm now graduating to the next level because I am AI powered. So the same things that you can do with AI and the things I can do with AI are vastly different. It's the same tool, but I guess because of my background, and my, because I've used AI a lot, I can do so much more. And so you want to be that person. You want to be that person who can take the same tool that everyone else is using, but achieve 10x output, and make sure that you outcompete your colleagues. I'll give an example, and this one is local. There's a friend of ours who is in the media space. His company produces local shows, reality shows. And the way he was operating before AI is that he needed a pretty big team, especially video editors. He needed at least 12 video editors just to deal with all the footage that they had to edit. Today he operates with one very good video editor and a lot of AI tools. And this one video editor is the one who is controlling and orchestrating all those tools. So you want to be that guy. So it's not that the tool was meant to replace you. It was actually meant to augment you so that you do more and do you give a higher output, better quality output, etc. So you want to be that person.
You want to be that person.
Yeah. So if your job entails producing reports, stop doing them the old-fashioned way where you're doing the work yourself. Start augmenting AI into that process. If your job is to manage an executive's calendar and meetings and schedules, you can also just apply AI into it so that it's even smarter. Think about, you in your intro, you talked about the good old days after school. It was either you do computer packages or you go to driving school or you learn a language, foreign language. So at that point in time when computers were really started to come into the forefront, there were lots of businesses where if you needed anything typed up, it was a typewriter. Okay. And if you made a mistake when you were typing out, you had to pull the paper out, apply whiteout. The Gen Zs probably don't have any idea what that is, but you were literally painting.
Even the typewriter.
You would paint over. Even the typewriter, you might not know. Google it. So you'd have to paint over the mistake with whiteout, reinsert the paper, and then type again. And then the computers came in, and all you did was to just backspace, make your correction, and move on. There were those businesses that said, "Oh, this one is going to take away all the admins, secretaries, jobs." But the reality is that we still have admin in our offices today. Only that they perform higher functions.
Yeah.
Okay.
High capacity. Yeah.
Yeah, and they can do so much more. So instead of typing a memo, one memo at a time for 3 hours, it's done in 10 minutes
Yeah.
and then printed as many copies as you needed, and off it goes. Or even not even printed, just emailed. Okay. Many offices used to have physical messengers, as in humans who would literally convey documents from one office to another, one location to another, and then email came around. So I don't even need to have that role.
Yeah.
I just type up my document and I send it off as an email, and it gets to the other side and the people reply. So does it mean that this guy now is out of work because of the email, or is it because he did not adapt and take on a higher function role? Okay. So I think we want to look at it like that.
So basically, what you're saying is we need to constantly be upscaling.
Yes, you have to.
Upscaling is the thing. It's not about this thing is coming to replace me. It's about how then you incorporate it and make it work for you.
Yes, make it work for you. But I think it starts also with a mindset shift, because if we say that this is what I do and this is all I've known, this is what I trained for, so I have no other option, then you put yourself at a disadvantage.
Yeah.
None of us was brought into this world with a finite set of skills that you cannot improve on or add to, and so on.
Very true.
So we have to adopt a growth mindset, even around AI, because, like I said, it's meant to augment. Augment simply means taking whatever you're already doing and just supercharging it. You make it better, you make it bigger, make it faster, improve it. And it's a skill that can't be taken away. I think our parents, that older generation, they were onto something when they really insisted on investing in education for us. Because education is, once you acquire it, no one can take it away, Chris.
Yeah.
It's part of who you are, and it will inform the next decision and the next decision. So it has to be that type of approach. We have to learn to adapt, and we have to start coming to the reality that AI is going to take away the lower function jobs, data entry analysts, those, anything mathematical and repeatable is going to essentially just take over. But there's still very many other jobs that require human thinking capacity and cognitive skills. Critical thinking. That one is not going away. And something else I also really advocate for is, let's not treat AI like it is the final authority. It makes loads of mistakes. In fact, there are huge companies, that have had huge problems because they over-relied and over-trusted on their AI tools, only for things to go bad.
Yeah.
Deloitte, and this one I can speak about because it's in the public domain. Deloitte Australia, a few months ago, there was a big scandal because they were doing a project for the Australian government, and the final report that they submitted turned out to have lots of hallucinations. It was someone used AI to generate the report, and it was referencing projects that don't exist, numbers that don't make sense, and here it is submitted as the final output. And it was only now the experts on the government side who are catching at those mistakes, and I think they ended up having to refund almost $400 million, to the government because of that. So I don't think you want to go in that direction where you just use AI and then...
So there's a risk element.
Yeah, there's a huge
depending
risk.
on the task you're doing, you also need to proof check.
Yes.
And
we still want your human expertise in the conversation.
Yeah.
So you use the tool to speed up the repeatable and the mundane, but you still apply your experience, your expertise to the task before you ship.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, I love that because, people are just sometimes, as you say, Kenyans, we love running with things.
Yeah.
So if it can make my work easier, I'll just, at the touch of a button, I don't even waste time looking at what has been.
You have to review. In fact, always look at AI as an assistant, not the other way around. You are not AI's assistant. It should be your assistant.
Yes.
So it goes off, does the work, and then you review it. Just the way you would treat a human assistant.
Yes.
You give them a task, you train them how to do it, Then you oversee as they do it the first time. Eventually, you'll even let them run with it completely autonomously, but you still want to review it
Yes.
before it goes off, before it's something that could affect your bottom line, especially as a
Yes.
business. Yeah.
Okay. You had an interesting example of editing videography of your friend who then had so many assistants, but then now converged them and used AI tools in the creative space.
Yeah.
The creative space, I feel like there's so much that is happening out there. What are some of the things that creatives are facing right now? Because, I'm seeing adverts coming out and they are no longer real people. It's AI generated adverts.
Yes, indeed.
Agencies are, having a hard time. Maybe talk about the creative space. How is this thing changing the landscape?
Yeah, so the creative space has to adapt. That
Yeah.
one for sure. AI has become generative. Initially, AI was just responsive. You'd train it with lots of information. It would simply regurgitate what you already trained it. So if it doesn't know what a cat looks like, you can't ask it to generate a cat. But now we are there, and we've been there for a long time. So AI has reached has been in the generative phase for a long time. And because it's generative, it's also creative and imaginative, and it can hallucinate. It can make up fairy tales altogether. But now let's look at the generative component of AI. It's become incredibly good. Images, video, even music can all be generated using AI.
Yes.
Okay, so we are at a place where human artists, human graphic designers, human editors, video guys, it's a crisis because you're like, if the tool can do what I have trained for years and years, then where does that leave me? Where it leaves you, my short answer is now you graduate to directing that AI. You stop being the one doing the work, you start being the person directing the work. Because I'll be very honest, as much as I can write a prompt and create music, it's not the same as when a musician does the same, creates his own prompt and uses the same tool. And I've done this practically in a studio because some of the guys we have trained are also musicians. So I went to his studio, I did my prompt, created music. It was fantastic. I have to say, even I felt really nice as in being able to create music as a software engineer. It's not something I ever imagined I would be doing. But then it was his turn. As in, after I showed him how to prompt, showed him the structure of a good prompt and everything that goes into it, he prompted. My goodness. What came out?
Different.
Yeah. What he produced versus what I produced with the same tool, his was like superior magnitudes of order.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's what we need to instill in people.
Okay.
So you stop being the one doing the work, and you start being the one directing the work. Okay. So if you are already a graphic designer, why are you still drawing things the old-fashioned way in Photoshop? Photoshop already has AI tools built into it.
Yeah.
Why don't you now bring your eye for detail, your eye for color and style and aesthetics, and you're simply directing? Otherwise, as in, if we're all just going to be prompting and taking what comes out, I mean, we end up with what is known as AI slop. It's the content that you can clearly see online that this is not even real. This is for AI. But there are others where it's indistinguishable from reality because the person who was building it, who prompted it and who directed it was already an expert in that area. So the way I will prompt for code is vastly different from someone who has never coded and will prompt for code. The way I will prompt for music, if I'm a musician, is going to be superior.
Yeah.
The way I will prompt for video, as someone who actually shoots video and edits, in real life, is going to be superior because you have the nomenclature, you have the words that I don't have.
Yeah.
Like back to the example of the musician we're working with. I mean, in his prompt, he included things like pitch and transposing from one chord to another and an octave, and he used all that musical language. I didn't. I just said I want a nice song. The theme of the song, this maybe the tempo. I think that was it. I didn't even talk about the key, the vocals, the instruments. Yeah,
speaks
you
into
still
it.
want to bring your expertise into it. There is a really interesting video on YouTube by an orchestral composer called Jacob Collier, and I encourage people to look at it, where he's holding a concert, a live concert. I think it was in London, and he has the whole orchestra, as in like from brass to strings, all the like an entire orchestra, and he improvises music on the spot. So he literally tells the violins, "I want you to play this and this on this key. Give me this," and then they do. And then he turns to the harp, someone playing the harp. "I want you to do this." Even the drums, the trombone, the cello, all of them, as in he gave everyone instructions.
Yeah.
And then he brought it all together. And at some point even incorporated the audience, telling this side of the auditorium to sing a certain word, a certain part of the song. This other side, something else. The guys are in the balconies to do something different. And that's essentially what you are supposed to be. So the musicians are the AI. You can tell them, "I want F sharp," and they will produce it perfectly. Pitch perfect.
Yeah.
Okay. But you still need to know how this,
Yes.
how that violin and this cello and that harp and the trumpet, how everything comes together to make good music, to make something delightful to listen to. So if he was not an expert composer, then it would have been noise, it would have been chaos. If I try to do what he did, it will be chaos, absolutely. And so that's the same thing we need to look at AI. I am an expert. I have been doing something for a very long time. I know how it needs to be done, especially if I'm in a place where I manage a team. So I know I can ask person A to do this, person B to do something different, but I know how those two outputs come together to produce something greater. So it's the same approach. Yeah. So these tools are always assistants. They are very good assistants. They can produce perfect results, but you need to know what that result is going to do with another result to produce something amazing.
I really like that. Don't be the director.
Yes, be the director.
Be the director.
Yeah.
And being the director means you also get to improve your income streams.
Oh yeah. Oh my goodness. Yes.
Yeah, please talk a bit about that, because we like in this show to talk about wealth creation and opportunities for increasing your streams of income.
Indeed. Yeah.
How can AI help you increase your streams of income?
Okay.
Yeah.
So the biggest bottleneck for most people increasing their income is time.
Okay.
People are constrained by time, because what you are doing is valuable, but it is time consuming.
Yeah.
It takes you just a bit too much time for you to get it out the door.
Yeah.
When you're servicing a client, depending on what it is, maybe you are. Let's talk about video, because we're in a studio right now.
Yeah.
If you are recording and editing and doing everything that goes into creating content like this manually and the old-fashioned way, then you have a ceiling already for how much you can do, like in a day or in a week. So video editing, depending on the length of the footage, can take all day, maybe even multiple days. But when you bring an AI tool into it, it takes minutes, maybe hours at most. Okay.
Wow.
And so you are able to scale your output. You're able to do more. So if you were only servicing 3 clients a week, now you can do 7. And that's more income, that's more revenue.
Yes.
So people need to start looking at, what is it that I'm already doing? It's valuable, it makes me money. But if I was able to do it at a higher output, a higher scale, then it means I'd make more money. I'd be able to serve more clients.
Yes.
So that is like the basic starting point. If you're able to figure that out, you can already scale your income.
Okay.
The other constraint people have is expertise. I know how a good cake tastes like.
Yeah.
And I know maybe how to configure the oven. But I don't know about the ingredients. I don't know how to put them together. Even the sequence, because you don't just put everything all at once. Some things go in first, others come in later. So AI now can bring that expertise. That gap you have in knowledge and expertise, that's where AI also can really now help you move to the next phase. So you know how to, you know a good mobile app when you use it. It's useful, it's intuitive, it's beautiful to use, but you don't know how to code. But guess what? You don't need to. AI knows how to code. But AI does not know what it means that this is beautiful and this is functional and this is useful and that this is what my customer needs. So you understand those things and then you direct the AI so that you end up with both expertise, the speed, and something useful that your clients are willing to pay for. So those are the two constraints. If you can apply AI in those two things where you reduce the amount of time and you bridge the gap of expertise, then you're already scaling and you're already improving in so many ways. You're making so much more money.
Wow.
Yeah.
I really like that. It's a pity we don't have enough time to continue with this discussion.
Yeah.
But just in terms of winding up, investments.
Okay.
Should I be worried if people now are using AI to make the investment decisions? Because I think that's something that we need to move with caution.
If you are not using AI for analysis, then yes, maybe you need to worry because it means you may miss out on opportunities that others will capitalize on. But a word of caution, it depends on how you apply the AI. If you're asking AI to recommend, let's say, a stock for you to buy on the securities exchange, it can do that. But is that really due diligence? Have you even looked at the fundamentals of the organization, the company, their history, their performance in the past? You haven't done the work. You've simply asked AI to give you an answer, and it gives you an answer. And the AI is intrinsically programmed to be helpful. So it will not, more often than not, it will not tell you no.
Yeah.
It will tell you, a few things, but mostly it will be positive. So you'd still need to learn how to apply due diligence, but now powered with AI.
Okay.
So the same way you would get all the financial records of the business and read through them and make sense of them. Now you can apply AI there, but not in the decision.
Okay.
You surface the insights, I'll make the decision.
Okay.
So I can give you 50 reports. Instead of it taking me 3 weeks to make the decision, now I can make the decision in the next hour. And if I was taking 3 weeks, maybe that opportunity has even closed. Maybe the IPO has been oversubscribed. Now people have moved on. But if I had applied AI to look at the financials, to look at all the metrics, and it gives me all the info that I need to make a decision, then I make the decision.
Okay.
So again, applying AI as an assistant, not as the decision maker.
Okay.
Yeah. So you still need to orchestrate. You need to be. I want us to adopt that mindset for I am the conductor of the orchestra. I'm telling AI, I need this, I need this, I need this, but I know why I need those things, so that my decision making is faster, is more informed. Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much. I think I have learned a lot, and I think it's also good information for guys to know, because we've been moving with the thing for AI is here to replace me, or AI is here to make my life so much easier. I have no need for intervening.
Think of AI like just your desktop computer.
Yeah.
Instead of you using a typewriter, now you have something that is so much easier to use.
Just helps you
and can make you do so much more. Yeah. So use it as a tool, not as a crutch.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow, I love that. All right. Thank you so much for coming over. And this has just been an amazing discussion. I definitely will continue, and maybe we can have you back. Yeah, definitely. Sure. And just now have more detail on some of the tools specifically, because there's a lot that we need to discuss, and more discussions like this need to be had.
Thank you.
So thank you so much for coming.
Thank you as well for having me. Yeah. This has been very enjoyable.
All right. Thank you so much. And yeah, you've heard it. Don't let AI replace you. Be the director and let the AI be your assistant. We've heard about the kind of mindset shift we need to change and move with. It's not about allowing AI to determine what you do. You are still the decision maker. You are still the one who has to provide the report of quality to your clients. It's not AI to do that for you. It is still your job. And I just want to thank you for the time that you've taken to watch this whole episode. As usual, we want to just encourage you to subscribe if you haven't. Share this episode with those people who need to hear about AI. And in my opinion, that is all of us who need to hear about AI. Share this episode and please come back soon for our next episode. See you soon. Bye-bye.